Hello, my name is Alice Gerstel. Welcome to my presentation, Using Technology with Elementary ESOL to Enhance Language Learning. This presentation is to meet the Standard 1 requirement for using technology in the classroom. Chapter 4 had some simple and practical tips that resonated with me. For example, guideline number 1 states pedagogy first, technology second. So this guideline encourages a mindset of designing your course with an eye on the available and best tools. And guideline number 2 states keep it simple. So the first time you teach in any new environment or with a new set of learners, it is wise to keep it simple and use the basic set of tools well supported by your institution. So this is the first year that I'm using technology to this extent with my students. I work with ESOL students, like I said, in kindergarten through 5th grade. And these are students who are classified as newcomers, students who have been here around 2.5 years or less, and they also score between a 2.5 or less on the Access for L's, which is a yearly English language proficiency test that we give around the end of January through February. So based on that criteria, if they score within the range that I just said, they qualify for the intensive English program. And that is the program that I am in charge of. And so the students come to me for a block of time, anywhere between 45 to 50 minutes, where the focus is grade level academic language in reading and writing. So, as I said, the class is called ESOL Intensive English. I use a pull-out delivery model, so I might introduce something to my students face-to-face, and then students can work through the assignments that I post in Google Classroom. They can work on these at their own pace. So I usually introduce the new learning in a face-to-face situation, and then they can practice online with any of the assignments that I post in their Google Classroom. So they also have access to these if I have a meeting or if I'm absent. The students can work on this in their homerooms during our regularly scheduled time. So here are a couple examples of some of the assignments that I've given my students. So the one on the left is if they were here last year to take the access test, we looked at their scores from last year and we set some SMART goals on where they would like to be this year. So we looked at each domain of their access test, and we used that to kind of create some SMART goals for listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And then the example on the right is just this week we were working on some basic sentence must-haves, like capital letters, punctuation, subject, predicate, and the sentences must make sense. So after we talk about that in depth in the classroom, face-to-face, then I post assignments like the one on the right where the students can access it in their own classroom or at their own pace, and they can work on that when they have time. All right, so the next slide, these are examples of student resources. So these are some resources that I use. This particular one is ReadWorks, which I really like because it is a really great resource and it's free. So I like it also because I can choose articles that complement the IB unit that the students are working on in their homerooms. Our school participates in the PYP program in the International Baccalaureate, the primary years program. So they have units in on their grade levels that they work on, and I can pick readings based on the students' lexile levels. And it has the read to me option to lessen the cognitive load for the students. That way they can focus on the content and the comprehension piece rather than trying to sound out words or words that, long, multi-syllable words that, they might struggle with. So the bulleted points are really strong reasons why I like ReadWorks. It helps build background, which our ESOL students need a lot of background building on topics that they may not have had exposure to. It helps develop vocabulary. It helps with their listening skills if they have the read to me option. It also helps with comprehension as well. So it's a really good resource. And they also have specific articles tailored just for ESOL students also. All right, the next resource that I like to use with my students is EPIC. And the reason that I like EPIC, I like it for the same reason that I like ReadWorks. In EPIC, I can form groups and I can make book collections. I can put books in students' mailboxes, a little virtual mailbox, and the students can access these books on their own. Once again, usually the books that I pick are books that support their IB units that they're working on in their homerooms. Students can also have free choice where they can just kind of go and explore, and there's also videos, and it's a lot of learning videos, science type videos, and they love going to look at those videos also. And the last thing that I really like is it has something called a reading caterpillar, which here's a picture of what it looks like. But when students read a certain number of books, like for example, once our class reads 25 books, then we earn a badge. And then it goes up 50 books to 100, 150. And the caterpillar can continue to grow as students read books. So it's a great way to motivate students, especially kids who are kind of reluctant readers. For some reason, they love watching that caterpillar grow. So it's a good way to motivate students who don't normally like to read, and they can access it anytime during the day. All right, and so the next slide, this year, this is something that I've started. I remember seeing lots of teachers be really creative with creating all these virtual classrooms. So I must admit, I was kind of lazy. I went and just bought a template. So it was already pre-made. So all I had to do was just kind of insert my Bitmoji, and then I kind of customized the details of the slide. So this is an example of the type of slide that I just started posting this year in Google Classroom, and I will post this particular announcement slide for the entire week on Mondays. And on the little whiteboard in the middle, you can see that there's a letter, a message to the students. It's in letter format, and it is going to contain mistakes. And so the students can read it, and then based on whatever skill we worked on in class, the mistakes that are in that letter is going to be based on what they have already gone over in the class. So it won't be anything new, hopefully, and then it'll just be a way for them to reinforce some of the learning that we had the week before. So anyway, like I said, this will be pushed out in Google Classroom on Monday with a Monday message in the announcements area where they can edit sentences. The other thing that I like about it is it has this little calendar over here that I can use this little circle to move through the calendar whenever we're talking about this slide in a face-to-face situation. I can change the dates, and then we can have conversation about how to say the date correctly. A lot of ESOL students have a hard time with wording like tomorrow is, today is, and yesterday was. So it's a good way to kind of reinforce those types of sentences. Okay. All right, so this next example is something that I would probably only do in a face-to-face situation where I'm introducing a new topic. And so in this particular case, it was we just started working on opinion persuasive writing. Actually, we started Monday, so we started today, and this anchor chart will be here for the students to refer to. The students can access it later, and it has a definition of what opinion means. And then what I like about this particular anchor chart, it's specifically for working with ESOL students. It has these keywords, and so I just introduced it to them today, but we're going to go through the actual writing process, and they'll have a chance to apply these keywords in their writing as we go through their graphic organizer. So like I said, I will post the anchor chart for the students to access at a later time in their Google Classroom. They'll have access to my slide deck. Okay, so this was kind of a little bit of fun. Last week, we, as a kind of a kickoff before we actually started using the vocabulary of opinion and persuasive writing, we started out our unit last week by playing a game of Would You Rather, and the kids love playing Would You Rather, so it gives them a chance. They stand up in the middle of the room, and then they're given a choice between two options, like would you rather have indoor recess or would you rather have outdoor recess, and then they move to whichever side of the room supports their side, their opinion. And then we usually have conversations about why they made the choice that they did. So that's what we did last week, and that kind of segued into our opinion writing. And this particular slide, the kids love soccer. And so this was a good way to kind of introduce them to opinion. And we also worked on restating the question based on these sample questions. So, like I said, this is something that I would mainly do in a face-to-face situation in the introduction of a topic, but the students can always access it later. The visuals are really a good way for them to help them remember what we talked about in class. All right, so this next example is another anchor chart that I might use with the students. And I also plan to give each student a hard copy of this anchor chart for them to keep in their journals, because the more times and the more places that the students see the language, the more likely they will remember the strategy, or in this case, in this particular case, this acronym, OREO, for opinion writing. And I would probably introduce this in a face-to-face situation where I'm introducing the strategy, and then the students, like I said, will receive a copy for their journals, and they can also access it on their Google Classroom slide deck at a later time. Okay, and then this particular slide, I might use in a face-to-face and a blended situation. So this slide has that anchor chart that was on the previous slide with the OREO acronym and strategy. And then in this slide, I have a video embedded over here on this little side of the virtual classroom on this picture frame. And the video is just a video of the OREO strategy where there's an example and modeling of what each of the letters in the word OREO, what they stand for and how to apply them. So, this would be a good way to reinforce the strategy, and then students can access the video at a later time if they need that extra support, or if they need to remember a particular step. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share all of this with you. And like I said, it's kind of basic. I'm starting out small and just trying this with 4th and 5th grade, and I may include 3rd grade about halfway through the year. We'll see how it goes. My 3rd graders a lot of them are true beginners, so it's just kind of one of those we'll play it by ear situations. And thank you for bearing with my voice. I am coming down with something, and got a little bit of a sore throat, and I apologize for the raspy voice. But thank you so much.